is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Frank the Tank, Sam McKee, all with you for the next 2 hours. We start the Real Kyper and Bourne show on a sad note. Legendary NHL defenseman Borje Salming, who earlier this year revealed his battle with ALS, has died at the age of 71. A fixture on that blue line for over 16 years. No question, someone that we look to is our closest to royalty as a Toronto Maple Leaf, Borje Salming.
Yeah, well said. Really, I know a lot of heavy hearts out there. Special that he was able to come here to Toronto and sort of pay tribute. I said, talking to you before the show, I just said, it's unbelievable the timing that he was able to do it. Had it been a week later, who knows if he'd physically have been able. And also, it was kind of like getting to be at your own funeral. And you mentioned that he had said that.
Yeah, he did. I know, being part of the alumni that weekend, being down there, he knew he was coming to say goodbye to the people that have meant the most to him, I think, outside his family. And
extraordinary effort.
That is the hockey world.
Yeah.
On a very big stage.
Yeah.
And it took all of his strength. We saw that. We saw the emotion that he had.
And his teammates had.
And it was incredibly gut-wrenching to see what he had to go through just to get to that point. But we shouldn't be surprised based on his career, his early battles to prove that not only that he could belong in the National Hockey League as a pioneer, first European player to really make it, but then excel as an all-star.
Yeah, there is something about like effort and, not to trivialize, but like playing through injury. Guy got there and got out on that ice one last time, to be there for Leafs fans and hockey fans and to appreciate his legacy and what he's meant to this organization. So, there is some mercy, of course, for people who are suffering for him. I don't know how things were going at the end, but just glad he got to be here and be a part of that.
Yeah, we're going to catch up with Stu Gavin, who played 5 seasons with the Toronto Maple Leafs, including all of them with Borje Salming. Want to get his thoughts on the teammate that he was and the things that he watched on a daily basis.
Right.
Which it's hard to explain. And I did not get a chance to battle much against Borje Salming. And, Sammy, I kind of give it to you a little bit on the lineup. And you have that he's played 1,148 games in the NHL, but not all with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Right.
Because he played, if I'm not mistaken, 49 games with Detroit. And you know how I know that?
No.
I scored my first NHL goal, and he was playing against me.
Was he on the ice?
No, I don't think he was on the ice. I think some maybe rookie named Nick Lidstrom may have took the dash on that one.
No.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Borje, it was his last season, 89-90. And it was kind of surreal to see a childhood hero on the other side. And of course, you want to keep your game face on and look like you're playing the part.
Right.
But there was always that part of you said, oh, my God, I can't believe Borje Salming's on the other side of the ice.
Yeah. Yeah, that must be an incredible trip. And, they talked about some of the guys in the Leafs like Nick Robertson going out there against Crosby the one day, and Sheldon Keefe saying he went through that when he was a rookie and just the experience of playing against your heroes for the first time. And at some point you got to snap out of it and still go play hockey. So easier said than done. I'm sure that was eye-opening.
Okay, let's welcome in Stu Gavin, a teammate of Borje's. And while I speak of my one experience of playing against Borje Salming, you had what, Stu, over 5 years day-to-day with the man?
Yeah, Yeah, I broke into the Leafs in 1980 with Borje, and just Kyper, listening to your first time playing against BJ, but as someone that's passionate about hockey, let alone playing the game, but also just love watching the game. As a younger boy and man, I would watch Borje and the Leafs play and marvel at his skill. But when I turned pro, and my experience was it was more of a veteran team. There's a few young guys, and usually the veterans would, go out after the games. But Borje was always one guy as a veteran, and he was married and family, but would always include the younger guys and really made you feel welcome and just a really fun guy to go around and cared about all his teammates. And as intimidating as it is to step into the NHL as a 20-year-old, and all the first being your rookie year, I mean, he was one of the vets that really eased that transition and, quite frankly, made you feel that you should be there and welcomed you. And very, very sad day in the hockey world with the news of Borje's passing. And really, it's after 5 years of knowing him and keeping in touch with him and having a relationship post-career, it's very sad for he and his family and for all the hockey community.
And Stu, just to talk about Borje and the passion not only did he have for the game, but in life in general. And we know, Stu, that there were a few nights out that he probably enjoyed as much as the next guy. And we've all had those teammates that they could go out, they could have a few beers or maybe a few more, and still the next day, like, go out there and skate like the wind or be the best player the next night. And I couldn't be that guy. I knew it. Others knew it. But then there were these guys that were just specimen or just like ultra talented. But Borje could be that guy.
Yeah, he was that guy. I think of when someone said, "What's it like to play with Borje?" Other than an unbelievably skilled individual and great teammate and a great leader, but he was back in the '80s. There wasn't a lot of physical conditioning, and this guy was absolute ripped and Adonis, and you could just see all the muscles and the sinewy in his tendons and everything in his body, and it was like the medical chart where you see what his body looked like. But he was a Trojan. He was like just a warrior, and he would play really hard on the ice. Back in those days, it was they would call the Swedish players some foul names and not think that they would stand up for themselves and push back or fight back. And while he didn't fight, he used his body as a battering ram and competed every night, and guys would throw everything at him, but he would give it right back. But he played hard on the ice and competed hard, and we had a lot of fun away from the rink. And he and others, but Borje was very good at, maybe paying the price a little bit on the road or at night, but he would be the guy, even the morning skate. I can remember him coming in maybe where some guys wouldn't be there. He'd say, he'd cough a bit, sore throat, literally jump on the ice with his trench coat on, throw the skates on his trench coat, just do a couple laps to see the skates get back.
He was Batman.
Jump off the ice and go and have a good nap in the afternoon, and then come back out and be first star that night and just dominate. So, he lived life large, but he would had a lot of fun, included his teammates, and but then competed. There was no excuses in his game. He didn't. If he was feeling a little off, even if he was sick or was feeling a little under the weather, whether it be self-induced or otherwise, he would be competing.
So did you have to deal with that in practice then? Doesn't sound like the type of guy that I'd want to be going up against. Did he maintain that level against his teammates?
Well, he would compete, especially like guys with Daryl, their best of friends. They would, just their nature, they would compete in practice. You'd see them battling, and it showed what it takes to get to that next level and stay there. And you have to compete not just in practice, but in the games, and they would do that, and he would do that. but he would also embarrass you. And so often, to try to go down one-on-one or with his great, he used his stick so well and his body so well to block lanes. And the other, I remember, I'd be penalty killing. So I'd go out on the left point and try to get him and hug the boards, thinking his only play is back down the boards. I'm going to block it. And he takes the puck, whips it through his legs, and then goes on his forehand across the blue line for a shot. And I'm still hugging the boards at the at the blue line when he's 10 feet away. So he would embarrass you with his skill, let alone in practice, and many guys in a game.
We're talking to Stu Gavin, former Toronto Maple Leaf and teammate of Borje Salming. The one thing that was special was the relationship that he had with the fans, and even the one with Harold Ballard, the late Harold Ballard. And we know the stories about Harold, but it wasn't hard to see how people gravitated to this guy, including the owner.
Yeah, he was loved by all, and there's a lot of stories about Harold. But for me personally, and even with him being the owner of the team when I played there, I never once heard him come down on really any one of the teammates. He loved to play with the media and spin that and create stories and keep the Leafs front and center, and if not on the sports page and in the papers. But he loved Borje like a son, like a lot of us, because he looked up to him, respected him, but he saw what would compete, and he saw his commitment to the team, and commitment to his teammates, and just competing, trying to win for the Leafs. And back then we didn't have a lot of wins, but he wasn't mailing it in or packing it in. He was there every night and led by example. A lot of people would look up to him, and Harold for sure was, I think it was a softie. He had some guys that he really loved, and Borje for sure was one.
Hey, Stewie, on late notice, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Sad day for all hockey fans, just not Toronto Maple Leaf fans, but thank you for sharing some wonderful memories on Borje Salming.
Yeah, the hockey world's a big loss, but great man, a great warrior, and fantastic teammate. Thanks, guys. Live every day to its fullest.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it.
Former Toronto Maple Leaf and teammate of Borje Salming, that was Stu Gavin.
Yeah, it's you hear a lot of the same things from people talking about Borje, huh? Just like regardless of the conditions, he showed up and put himself out there. And
but Stu made an excellent point. He just didn't show up and take it. He gave it back.
Yeah,
and that's what I think sometimes gets lost in it a little bit. And I was old enough to see the battles against the Philadelphia Flyers and the chicken suite and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And he, the true definition of toughness for me is just, not backing off and not giving an inch off of it, no matter how scared you are or intimidated you might be. Mm-hmm. You just don't give up that inch. Mm-hmm. And that was him.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to a lot of the old Flyers, including, Bob Clark, but, they learned it. They learned that, you couldn't intimidate that guy. You can come at him. Yeah. Maybe you can sucker punch him. Maybe you can beat him up in a fight. But that inch, he ain't giving up.
Man, the early Swedes had to be tough, huh? I was thinking Borje came across, and then Bob Nystrom was on the Islanders. He wasn't rolling over for anyone either. I think there was so much pressure, and there were so many guys leaning on them. They had to stand their ground, to show that they would. The Samuelsons were not tough, that's for sure.
So the one thing that I always hear about, and they mentioned it in his when they did the video for him the Saturday night, however long ago that was, where they talked about the ovation he got when he came back playing against Canada for Sweden, right? And then you talked about the relationship that he had with the fans. That one always stuck out to me. I don't know if there's any player, would Auston Matthews get an ovation in Toronto if their USA was playing Canada? There's just no chance. That is an incredible impact on the fans.
For, again, you want to talk about a pioneer? That was really our first international taste, because we had already gone through the Summit Series, right? but that was the first time in NHL history where you had a relationship with someone on the other side. So we knew nothing about the Russians.
Yeah.
And to that point, we really knew nothing in 76 on anybody else at the time, Czechoslovakia, Finland, the U.S., of course, we had some names, but
Primarily nameless opponents.
over water,
Yeah.
he was the first one that we knew on another team, and that was a passage of we get to cheer for him.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's really cool.
We get to cheer for him. That is our first, and now we do Olympics and World Cups, and everybody knows about
everyone on
everybody.
every team, yeah.
Well, we used to do those. We don't do those anymore.
It's been many years.
Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying,
Yes,
right? That was
100%.
he was the first one.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's really
A
interesting.
little extra connection there.
Yeah.
Well, I just that just always stuck out to me whenever I've heard that story and saw that actual ovation. It's very cool. So, one of those guys that's just before my time, and I just really wish more than anything he wasn't, because I like the impact that he made and everything. It's one of those things that gets talked about amongst your era of Leaf fans, Kip, and it's something that I don't truly understand, and it's one that I wish I really did.
Think these Leafs could use a big, tough, skilled D-man?
I think they might be able to use something like that. But I thought Stu was great, by the way.
Yeah, he was great.
That was excellent, and what I wouldn't pay to see Borje Salming taking a twirl in a trench coat.
Oh, no. I got one better for you.
Oh,
I got one better for you. Road trips. Anytime he had a chance to do stuff like ski.
Yeah.
And they didn't pack for skiing. So he's skiing. I should ask Stewie about this, but he would ski down the hill in his trench coat.
I loved his trench coat.
Trench coat.
Oh
and probably his dress pants.
Well, but you kind of need like better knee movement than in a he must have been a hell of a skier to be able to ski in a trench coat.
Whatever he could do outdoor, he absolutely loved. And I'm not sure where he was exactly from Sweden,
Swedish.
but north Sweden.
Yeah.
I don't think we're talking
Not
Stockholm here.
Yeah.
We're talking about sleds.
Yeah.
And
It's from a
dogs
place,
pulling.
Corona, Corona, Sweden.
Yeah.
Does that sound right to you?
So,
Corona.
I would imagine that Borje in L.A. or at the time L.A. or anywhere south and sunny probably wouldn't have done it for him.
It is funny. There is always a couple guys in every team who have interests who aren't hockey or that aren't hockey. And that's always strange. It's like hockey takes up so much of your time. So when you come across a teammate who's like, yeah, I actually like to go do anything other than hockey. It's always pretty unique.
Well, we've got a good show still, and we're going to continue probably to share some memories on Borje Salming. Gary Galley will be with us in about 22, 23 minutes. Former National Hockey Leaguer. I'm sure he remembers Borje well. We'll get his thoughts. And in the second hour, former NHLer and present general manager of the Minnesota Wild, Bill Garen, will join us. We'll talk about his team and maybe what the Leafs can expect out of their new tough guy, Ryan Reaves, now a member of the Minnesota Wild.
And Bourne knows him. He must love you to come on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, this is not a fun day to have to do anything. Usually you're just on the couch having a
He must love you.
And I got to apologize to you. I forgot that you're American. You should have the day off today.
No.
You should be off today.
I consider myself Canadian, for the record.
Okay, all right.
But my wife she's American.
Okay. Well, my wife's American too.
Yeah, so let's both take the day off.
But she is taking the day off. She's down. She's with her parents right now. My kids are with her. They're doing the Thanksgiving thing.
Oh, and you're stuck up here with us? Oh my God, Kippy.
I took off Friday.
Yeah.
You gotta pick your spots.
Yeah.
American Thanksgiving or
next year we'll get our
Quail Hall.
Golf at Quail Hall on a Friday afternoon.
You made the right call. Family or Quail Hall. Next U.S. Thanksgiving, we'll get our families together.
Yes.
My wife will do a big feast.
All right. So there you go. And we got a lot of listeners, YouTube, our podcast, of course. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you south of the border here.
I'm so jealous of their There's two things I'm really
they
jealous
do it
of
right.
it, and it's their college sports fandom and their Thanksgiving. Those are the two number one things.
Thanksgiving's unbelievable.
So cool.
I mean,
know.
Wednesday night is the biggest party night of the year in the U.S. Everyone comes back from university, sees their hometown friends, and just gets sideways.
And just watching the Detroit Lions on
Lose.
Thanksgiving.
What a tradition.
They're winning right now.
Are they?
They're up 22-19 over the Buffalo Bills with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
So they'll lose in heartbreaking fashion, as is tradition.
There you
It's
go.
tradition,
You know
yes.
who did not lose?
Oh, baby.
The Toronto Maple Leafs last night.
3:20. 20 minutes till we mention it.
Putting an exclamation point on their win is shutting down a 13-game winning streak by the New Jersey Devils. No small task. I got to give you guys credit. You called it. I thought maybe the momentum.
No,
I
he
didn't.
didn't call it.
I said
call it?
I was pissed off. Canada had just lost. I said 6-0.
Oh, so JB, you're the only one.
Yes.
Yeah.
What score did you give us? You remember?
I think 3-2. I think it
3-2
was
in overtime is what you said. Yeah.
Did anybody see 2-1?
We should have.
Yeah, the Leafs, because they D up now, apparently,
that's
is all
it.
they do.
So the Leafs are slowly turning into Lou Lamoriello's New Jersey Devils.
Lou's watching this version of the Leafs going, I like it. That's what I'm talking about, Doobie.
We don't need 3 goals. 2's enough.
You probably need 3 goals. Yeah, it's not a good plan to score 2.
All right, well, let's get into it. We want to start with Sheldon Keefe and his overall thoughts of the game last night. Let's start there, and then we'll just we'll work off that.
All right.
Man, I thought we did a good job of it. Obviously it got a little hairy there in the third period with the atmosphere, but it was an intense atmosphere right from the start of the game. I mean, that's the most engaged I've seen fans here in New Jersey in my time in the league. So you could tell they're really getting excited about this team and the run they've been on. I thought our guys did well. I mean, obviously an excellent first period sets us up for success in the game, and then I thought, we defended really hard all game long. We made one mistake in the third period, ends up in our net. But all game, I thought our guys battled hard, defended the middle of the ice extremely well, took away the strength of their game, and I thought we're full marks for the win.
Yeah, I think he nailed it.
Yeah.
It was hard to get to the net for New Jersey, and when they did, Matt Murray was there, made the saves that he was supposed to make, which is a common theme now in the National Hockey League. Don't need you to spin off your head. Just be there for us.
And you know what I like about that? So 2 things. One is for the New Jersey Devils, that's why a winning streak is so impressive, is some nights things just don't go your way, and things did not go the Devils' way last night. Like, we'll get to that. But things did not go their way. On the other hand, I like that Sheldon Keefe came out after that game and he didn't go, well, they had like high expected goals in the third period, and, we kind of got lucky to get out of that one. We hung on. Like, you're on the road against a great team.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to look a certain way. You won. I like go in there and get the win and not complain about it. Full marks, that sort of thing. I thought that was a quality post game.
I didn't get the feeling like, they dodged a bullet last night. They competed. They gutted it out. A lot of different factors that went into it. As far as I'm concerned, the engine continues to be Mitch Marner. The setup goal for Tavares in the slot, the work that he did. I mean, it's just a constant. And yeah, sometimes the rhythm's off, and he can turn a puck over maybe on a rare time. But overall, the intelligence and the consistency out of his work ethic, and being in an ability to continue to be a dangerous penalty killer, for me, that as long as you know and see that Mitch Marner is driving, Leafs to me should be in games.
Yeah, I thought the play he made on the goal wasn't just that he like outworked a guy, but he read where the play was going to go and then cut off. Was it Siegenthaler or Hamilton? One of the two of them. He just cut them off, so it didn't have to be bigger, and that allows him first touch on the puck. It was an unbelievable play.
They were doing okay.
I'd say they're doing not okay today.
I thought, and we were talking like at the blue line where he made the play even to get it down there. Like he cut him off, he got it down into the corner, wins the battle, falling down, no look on the stick. You know who's enjoying it a lot, I think, is 91.
Oh, he's like, can you get 88 off my line for good?
He could score 35, 40 goals if he keeps
Well, he's
them.
on pace for, I think,
Right?
probably on pace
Yeah,
for close to 50.
He's already got 13 right now in 20 games or 21. He's humming.
But
give him credit. He scored before they made the switch, too.
Yeah,
He was
for
having
sure.
a good year before that.
they'll probably play off Mitch, much like we've seen the first 20 games, especially if 34 continues to. Is the word struggle? What
Sleepwalk.
is?
I don't know.
Sleepy? Is he sleepy out there?
Maybe. I had something on Marner, but go ahead. Go ahead with Matthews.
No,
I'll
just
think.
the feel that
I'm here all day.
34 would probably look for Marner coming back on for a little help because
Yeah.
I didn't see too much
That was
out of 34 and 88 last night.
That was it. It was that Marner, you look at the ice times for everyone last night, and it's like 18, 19 minutes for the top guys all the way across the board, and Marner's 23 minutes. Like he's the only one. Matthews is at 19 minutes. Yeah, it's clear like who Sheldon is relying on right now as Matthews tries to find whatever it is that he's looking for. Because, it's a couple times. How about this? He has not shot a puck in the net at 5-on-5 on his forehand this year.
Yeah, I heard them say that last night.
21 games. He doesn't have a goal on his forehand at 5-on-5.
So it's not good.
I mean, he's a tip and a backhand, I think.
Do you have 5-on-5 stats that you can pull up
I do.
for the Leafs in particular?
Yes.
Like, do you have actual minutes of 5-on-5?
Yes. But I need a moment to filter it.
Well,
But yes.
I'm just watching the game last night, obviously, and I'm not. It's almost at the point where I'm not noticing Matthews that much.
Yeah, what
Which
do you want
is-
to know, Kyper?
Which
Is insane.
is crazy. Who leads in minutes on 5-on-5?
Justin Hall, not a joke.
Yeah.
Justin Hall's most on the team. Third is Matthews. Marner is just behind Matthews. That doesn't seem right, does it?
No, it does.
Yeah, he's 20 minutes behind him
It does.
on the season.
You know why?
No.
Because he's out there.
Doing everything else.
Oh,
PKing.
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
on the PK.
Yeah, that's where he's
Like-
an extra 4 hard minutes a game or something. or 3 hard minutes.
Who's producing the most on even strength?
Yeah, that's Marner.
So Marner is the best 5-on-5 player, and yet he's 20 minutes behind Matthews.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, they're a goal apart in that department, so it's close, but obviously.
Don't you want Matthews, if Marner's your best 5-on-5 producer, don't you want to push those minutes up 5-on-5?
Well, isn't that the thing we've complained about, though, with him overplaying Marner during the regular season? You're the one who's saying this year he can't play 25 minutes or
No,
whatever.
he can on some nights.
So more 5-on-5, less
Thank you.
shorthanded.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start developing other people on the PK.
Yeah, 100%.
And stop leaning on him like crazy. You're going to kill the guy. You're going to bury him by March or April. You know?
Yeah.
Start pulling those minutes off. Get those 5-on-5 up and start getting your 5-on-5 game going here.
So 4-on-5.
But if you're the coach of the team, Kipper, he's on your bench. How the hell do you not send him out?
I hear you. He's clearly your
You're trying
best
to win the
PK guy.
game. There's how many shifts do the Leafs have where legitimately nothing happens offensively?
Here's 5-on-5.
A lot.
And he's the only guy that's really pushing the play at all strengths.
So
you're not supposed to win? Like it's
no,
a
you're
hard
supposed to develop other penalty killers.
Well, they have a lot of guys that can do it.
And don't use him so much on the penalty kill. I'm telling you, that's why he's so far behind Matthews, is because he's sucking wind on the bench, getting ready for his next shift.
What they need to do. So if you look at shorthanded ice time per game. So look, in terms of forwards, David Kampf has played the most per game, and Mitch Marner is next. So he's second most there. Then it's Kerfoot, Calle Jarnkrok, Zach Aston Reese is below a minute a game. They really use 4 guys. Aston Reese and Engvall also below a minute. You need those guys to kill. You need those guys to go out there. Like Michael Bunting can't kill penalties. He's killed the least on the entire team. He's killed like not at all. I think 4 seconds on the season. They haven't even given him a look at that.
The other thing too is, you can tell how 88 and 34 are pushing it to the point where, like, sometimes I watch Willie Nylander cherry pick boys, and it just drives me nuts. Just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Last night was his first noticeably bad game, I thought.
You know, the Islanders game that we were at the other night, Sammy, when you and I were just sitting there,
He's skating well.
he's skating well, but he's ahead of the play by a lot. You know, he's, you know,
Puck
you
rolled
don't-
off his stick a couple weird times.
right. Like he's just, yeah, he needs to kind of stay with it. You
Yes.
know, don't get too excited about the offenses. Stay with the group as we break out as a 5-man unit, and sometimes he gets a little.
Let's
ahead of
pull Kipper's clipper on Marner defending the middle of the ice.
I mean, they were definitely pushing, but I thought we did a good job of holding the middle. When Marner made some really nice saves, I thought as a group we held the middle pretty well. And that one, obviously, that cost us, but you know, we did a good job of keeping it tight and trying to make them work around us.
And one guy that's really noticeable on that was Mark Giordano.
Yeah.
Like, he is so intelligent when it comes to taking whatever, you know, he has and making the most of it. We know he's not blessed with a ton of speed. We know if he's getting into a foot race, most often than not, he'll lose it, but he will find a way to get back into the fight and reposition himself. But as far as taking the middle of the ice or having lanes blocked and getting down and
knows where to stand, as Babs would like to say.
having the perfect position, the perfect down one knee blocked shots. Man, 24 minutes though, guys.
Not afraid to get in the way.
24 minutes, less than 48 hours to get ready for a game tomorrow afternoon. We can talk how great he was last night, but what's that recovery going to be for a guy that's turning 40 soon?
But listen, wouldn't you rather have the veteran guy who used to be a top pairing guy elevating to that as opposed to having to do it with a young guy? Like, he knows what it takes to play 25 minutes in a game. He's done it his whole career. He's been a number one guy his whole career.
But the body doesn't recover, and it doesn't do the things that it did 5-7 years ago.
Listen, I know you're probably right, but I'm fully all in on him playing.
It's third week in November.
Yeah, you're sending him
in.
over the boards again for 25 again tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. 100%.
So a couple things that stood out from Marner and Keefe to me. One is the taking away the middle of the ice thing. You can tell the message went from the coaching staff pre-scout to the players successfully. They downloaded the same idea. Okay, middle of the ice. And you mentioned that with Giordano as well, defending that and keeping everyone outside. Thought that was pretty good. But yeah, the Geo is a steadying factor right now, particularly when, you know, Mac Hollowell was paired up with them at times. I know we're going to get
12 minutes for Hollowell.
I know we're going to get to Geo. Do you want to just weigh in on Hollowell quick?
Yeah. Tiny.
Yeah, he's really little. Like, I know that's not everything.
I don't particularly like watching him go back and try to get a puck. You know, if he's looking up ice, he made some nice plays. He's a good skater. I thought Sheldon did a nice job with his 12 minutes.
Yeah.
How about that?
Great. Really good skater. So I saw some of the advanced stats and I was like, oh boy, looks like he had a good night. And I watched it. He banged the puck up the wall for turnovers 4 times in that time. Like it went well for him. Like things broke well, but I do not want to see that again. But Mark Giordano was very good. Do we want to hear from Mark on playing all those minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do that.
What did the increased workload feel like for you? I mean, I know you said you can handle it, but you actually had to do it.
Yeah, no, I feel good. I feel good. It's all about taking care of yourself properly and a couple more shifts every period, and I think I can handle it.
He thinks he can handle it.
Hey.
Not I can handle it.
And he is until he isn't.
Yes.
How's that?
That's
It
exactly
makes
right.
sense. It's true.
We should listen. We've done 33 minutes. We haven't talked about the call. We got to talk about the calls. The chat and YouTubes, everybody's yelling at each other about these calls.
Okay.
All right.
All 3 correct.
For the record, good for
Lock.
Gio for putting in the work
Yeah.
after the game. Okay, the calls. Sammy's got all 3 correct. Overturn, no goals.
Yeah.
My take: Sammy's right.
Kipper, did they
I
get screwed?
will concur
Ah.
and say, according to the letter of the law, I'm good.
But
Change the letter of the law on a few. That's all.
which one?
I'll tell you the one that bothered me the most, just as a objective watcher, is that the kicked in goal.
Yeah, it's not kicked at the net.
If you intentionally kick a puck and it goes directly in the net,
Yeah.
I'm all day long. If I'm trying to kick it to keep the play alive to a teammate, and someone else on the opposition redirects it in the net,
get out of the way,
to
bozo.
me, that's a good goal, and that's it. I didn't intentionally try to kick the puck in when it's heading towards
you're
a teammate.
making a legal play. It ended up in the net.
I'm making an illegal play.
Yeah.
If in fact it does get redirected by an opposition stick,
Get your stick out of the way.
Hey, good goal by me.
And well, listen, no, we're not. We're saying the calls are right.
No, but
all 3 calls, good call, good call, good call.
Why?
But the letter of the law.
Like, you've changed every rule for 15 years to drive more offense. Puck over glass.
Yeah.
Icing. Face-offs, pick the sides.
Yeah.
Everything is geared towards offense. Now you're going to tell me that you're not going to advance that with
and what's
this?
the concern of what's going to happen if you tell guys that if you kick it not at the net and it ends up in the net, we're keeping it as a good goal? Guys are going to try to kick it off things?
Yeah.
Like, it's not happening.
He kicked it towards the net.
No, he kicked it in front to the crease.
He was
to the
kicking
danger
it
area.
towards the goal.
Okay, he kicked towards the goal, and it
And it
never
went
would have
in.
gone in if the Leafs didn't put it in their
But
net.
it's not like they shot it into the net.
Nah, but
It
banked
took
off
a
him.
tiny little.
I don't care.
It's the right call, and that's
it
the way
is
it
the
should
right
be.
call.
You
Didn't
can't have
kick it
guys.
in.
Yes, he did. The last
No,
thing
he
that
kicked
touched.
it, and then it went in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it got
by him.
pinballed
No, not
in.
by him.
If he makes if he kicks it and hits it with
If
his
that
stick,
goes
for
in
sure.
soccer, who gets credit for it?
I don't know.
It's an own goal.
Don't talk about soccer. No comment.
saying-
But Brazil just scored a golazo.
We're
while
on,
we
we're,
were
we're
it.
on to
Oh, okay.
we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Croatia. We're not talking about soccer.
And as far as goaltender contact, I think we can all agree that we've seen more contact
And the goal.
and no call this season than what we witnessed last night.
But no doubt he's impeded in getting where he needs to get to make a save in the blue paint. Not even that one to me is not even a debate.
no,
Yeah,
Man is
I
in
get
the
it.
way of
I'm
where
just
he's trying to
saying
get.
that that one's a coin toss on the official and how he feels.
Total
he could
wild
have easily
card.
said, you know what, they kind of bumped into each other. No
Yeah.
call, play alive, good goal.
Well, that there's one in Vancouver last night that was called goalie interference that they
one of the
overturned.
worst ones I've ever seen.
Awful call.
on
that they,
Garland.
yeah.
That one was a head scratcher.
I mean, what are we doing? Like,
Did you see his reaction?
Yeah,
Awesome.
it was
Good
good
job.
job.
Good
Yeah,
job.
good
Good
job.
call.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
There's
He
nothing
seems-
worse than that.
He seems like a real piece of work. I don't.
But don't like
And
you can't. That was to me is the most obvious goaltender interference style of one. The first
Guy
one.
in the way in the blue paint trying to get where he's trying to get.
Right, exactly. Right where he pushes his skate to, where he could make the save with the puck. His
I
skate
didn't
was
see
impeded.
a ton of contact
But
on
there's
the
contact.
skates. There, it's a kiss.
But,
More
but Kipper,
than a kiss.
Here's the sound of the two skates making contact.
if his skate,
Still though, you're not.
if his skate wasn't there,
You're gonna have
he makes that
SARS
save.
or something from touching that mic with your lips.
He makes that save and his skate isn't there.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
But listen, I'm
We
going
won't
to
argue about it.
goalie
There's
union.
nothing to argue.
I'll go
Yeah.
goalie union. Hey, don't go in the blue paint. Hey, buddy, just don't go in the blue paint.
Yeah, great.
Mm.
And then there's really not much debate
And then-
about you knock a goalie over and
What'd
he
you-
can't get in his net.
What'd you think about the Molson shower after?
Oh yeah, the beers came raining down.
Yeah.
Well, what's to
listen,
think? Is anyone here gonna be like, it was
I'm okay,
awesome?
but there's- okay.
Listen.
First, I think it was a little overplayed by the Leafs, just a tad, on how dangerous.
I actually thought
it
them going to
is.
the room was a little
All
like,
right?
come on.
Listen, I gotta
no
say,
one's ever died with a Coke thrown at them.
Toronto people listening to this show, we cannot throw beer from our glass houses because I particularly remember in 2015 when Russell Martin got a bad call against him at the Rogers Center.
Oh,
Beers
yeah.
rained from
But
the
I
crowd.
did enjoy the hunt to find the dude. Ken or
No,
whatever in Summerview.
that was another
Oh,
situation.
was it?
Like
We've
all
whipped. That was just the wild card game the following year. We've whipped beers.
All I thought of after the game was Sheldon grabbing Mitch Marner and going to a cop and say, "Look at him! Look at him!
Got hit the tire iron.
It was a tire iron. Hit him right in the mind."
Let's listen to Keith's thoughts on the beers coming down because I thought it was actually hilarious.
Take cover. So that's really all you can do. You know, I've been through that experience a few other times. Maybe not to that degree, but that one felt like it could get dangerous. So that's why we just decided to leave the bench for a little bit there.
A few other times.
How many times has this guy had beers thrown in his head?
This is a guy who he was in Pembroke for a long time. The Lumber Kings.
Not saying, just saying.
The Lumber Kings. He's
Easy. We have a lot of listeners from that area.
I went to a hockey tournament there with my dad for the MNR. We had an absolute blast. But all you need to know about that rink, I think they're the Lumber Kings, right? That's the name of the team, Pembroke?
Yep.
The benches in that rink are on opposite sides.
Safety first.
That's all you need to know about that rink.
Yeah.
So probably seen some things in there.
We knock out the Quebec Nordiques, right?
Yeah.
And it's just not, we just didn't knock them out of the playoffs. Like, it's
knocked
over.
them out of the league.
We knocked them out of the league.
You knocked him to
They
Colorado.
got relegated.
So it's their last game in history. And, you know, we're celebrating after the whistle. And we're all happy. And Brian Leach looks at me and goes, "Did you just throw up?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "I got pelted by mustard packages."
Oh, no.
When they came off the ice, and I was covered, and my face was covered, and I had a small scratch because of the corner, you know, that aluminum tight, that sharp little corner, and I'm like, no, I didn't throw up.
You're the mustard tiger, just getting pelted.
That's great.
But I think they survived. They're okay.
Everyone's
They're
okay.
Mitch was pissed. Pissed off.
Do we have him?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, let's
You wanna
listen to
hear it?
Mitch.
Well, I mean, it's full beers and it's dangerous. We're not looking for that. We're not seeing it coming. Dodged a couple. I mean, could got really dangerous again at the end. Rass almost took one in the head. It's a dangerous thing. So, I mean, I don't know what it's our fault, but I mean, it's not like they're throwing it just for joy. They're throwing it to try and hit us. So it's the first I've ever seen. It's insane.
I don't know that they're trying to hit guys. You're just expressing displeasure.
Are you crazy? Hammered Jersey guy on the Thanksgiving Wednesday? He's looking for his flesh of meat.
No one's looking to hurt it.
He's trying to chuck the gabagool at him.
Who
spends $22
on a full beer and then chucks it?
No way they're 22 in Jersey. They're probably like 11.
Are you nuts? They're 22 everywhere.
Yeah,
No.
it doesn't
It's a
matter.
small mortgage now to get a beer.
Yeah.
Borny knows. He bought me one on Saturday. Whatever day we were there.
Yeah,
Monday.
you know, if you're at the Prudential Center, though, they're like, throw them. You need a refill.
All right, let's take a break.
Oh, my goodness. We blew right by the
did.
third base stop sign.
We did.
All right, we got Gary Galley coming up after the break. We'll talk Leafs. We'll talk Ottawa Senators. Are they still in the basement?
They're still, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Not what the summer
Not
of
how Pierre Dorian drew up Pierre Dorian's
Not
ear.
the summer of Pierre. Okay, we'll get into that and more. And Billy Garen in the second hour. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne. We are Real Kyper and Bourne. Stay tuned.
Neil, Kyper, and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Yes, we are. And as promised, one of our favorites, Gary Galley, Sportsnet Hockey Night in Canada, joins us now. Gary, how are you, pal?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Well, we're good. You know, a little bit somber today with the passing of Borje Salming. Now we're roughly the same age. So, what do you remember about Salming and your initial thoughts?
I remember when Salming and Hammarström came over, and all the talk about that and joining the Maple Leafs, and obviously. The two of them having a major impact on, Europeans coming over and not only playing in the National Hockey League, but, Borje, made a statement. He wasn't just any old player. He came over and, he became a household name in a very big hockey market in a country where hockey is a religion. And there wasn't any team that he played against that didn't respect him. They respect him as a player, as a person, and the way he held himself in regard on and off the ice. And to see him at the Hall of Fame weekend, and to see the joy that he brought people to give them the ability to lay eyes on him, because I'm sure it was not an easy trek for him and his family to come down, and the amount of energy it would have taken for that to happen, and for him to do that, for people to be able to see him and for his ex-teammates and stuff speaks volumes for him and his family, and certainly my condolences to his family and the people that surround around him, and how special he was.
That's well said, Gary. Watching the Leafs last night, I'm sure Borje would have been proud of the defensive effort the team put forward. I thought, this season has been a bit of a change in philosophy, to more commitment on that side of the puck, and sorting through some of the numbers, watching the games. They're a pretty good defensive team. What do you make of a Toronto Maple Leafs team that seems to have defense as a strength rather than their offense?
The crazy thing is when you look at some of the teams over the history, and I can go way back, but I'll try to stay as recent as I can. Maybe Tampa, maybe them. I know there's Detroit and there's Dallas with Bowman and Hitchcock that convinced the star players that they had to sacrifice some of their personal goals and points to be more responsible, so that they could win in the playoffs, and they went on to win Stanley Cups. But look at Tampa had to do it. Colorado had to do it. You can run and gun. You can try to outpoint your opponent production-wise. But as we know, when the playoffs hit, the game changes considerably. And you have to know how to play in the pig pen with the teams that can play in those one-goal games, those tight checking games. You got to be comfortable playing with a one-goal lead. You got to be comfortable playing behind by a goal. You have to be comfortable. You can't open yourself up. Stay in the game. Keep yourself in the game. Coming off the ice late in the game with a one-goal lead, and you haven't accomplished anything, but you haven't given anything, that's a win. That's a win. And you have to have the ability to feel that and know how important that is. I think the Leafs are learning, and every time they go through these tribulations along the way, I think that they're understanding more the value of what they need to do. And anytime you lose the amount of defensemen they've lost, you have to collectively as a team make up for that. You're not going to replace that with one or two players. You have to collectively do it as a complete team on the ice, and I think that you could see that their effort is to try to do that.
Gary, I think what you're talking about is puck management and managing a clock, managing the score, all of that. And we're seeing so many swings now in the NHL. We're seeing losing streaks. We're seeing winning streaks. We're seeing 2 goals disappear awfully quickly, more than ever before. Is this just because the kids are are fearless to mistakes, unlike us, who knew that one would put us on the bench or in the press box?
Well, you make a good point. Clock and score are extremely important. As a player, you have to recognize the score of the game, and what time in the game is it? And those are all risk versus reward things, right? Like, are you the team that's leading? How much are you leading? Are you the team that's losing? How much time's left in a period? How much time's left in a game? Are you extending your shifts too long? Like, you have to understand, those are, they seem like minute things, but there are things that you have to have knowledge of when you're playing in a game, when to take your risk versus reward. And if you need to take risk or you don't take the risk, and as a player, you're comfortable in your skin to not take the risk. In speaking to a lot of people, when you look at teams that are into trouble and teams that lose leads, to be honest with you, is that if you can not lose more than 2 games in a row, and it's really important. There are a lot of teams that, when I remember discussing this back when I played, that after you lost 2 in a row, there was a lot of push from the team and the veteran players that stops right here. We do not let it go by 2. And I was saying to somebody this morning that the Montreal Canadiens have done that. They have not lost more than 2 in a row. And when you look at a team like Buffalo, who had that long losing streak, they lost it all. And all the good things they did, they lost in 8 games because they couldn't stop the bleeding. And you have to stop the bleeding. And for most players, everyone, the sexy part of the game is the offense when you have the puck on your stick, and everybody wants the puck on their stick. But the truth of the matter is, you don't have the puck on your stick that often. The star players have it a minute or less. The great ones maybe a little more, the McDavids of that nature. But, so for the average player in the National Hockey League, which is not just average, I mean, it's playing the National Hockey League is very incredible in itself. But you have to know how to play without the puck. And you also have to know when you have nothing, don't try to make something. And that's where the teams struggle. That's where the Senators, that's where the Sabres, that's where some of the teams that have been struggling, when you don't have anything, all of a sudden you create a huge turnover in the middle of the ice instead of putting the puck in a safe place, putting the puck somewhere where, it's not what you want to do. You want to try to make something happen, but there is nothing going on there. Just let it go, and we'll look to tell another day. Instead, you try to make a play, turns over, transition, it's in your net. Maybe the goalie should have had it. Who knows? But why put yourself in those positions? The good teams don't do it.
Well, and something we haven't talked about so far in the show is, feeds into that defensive thing is goaltending and making the life of Matt Murray or whoever's in net a lot easier. Murray looks pretty good. What do you make of, I don't want to say his surprising start because the Leafs bet on it happening, but I don't think a lot of other people did. Do you think this is something that can be lasting, or where are you on Murray's start so far?
Well, until he gets through a prolonged period of time without getting hurt, I'm always a bit cautious on Matt Murray.
Sure.
And that's where I am. Is he a quality goaltender when he's on his game? Well, it's hard to argue that. Of course he is. Guy's won Stanley Cups. He's been in the most highly intense parts and anxiety parts of the game you could be in. So, yes, the issue with Matt Murray has been his injuries and how long he's out with his injuries. So we've already had one of that already, and now he's back, and he looks pretty good, and the Leafs are playing really well. So, yeah, I would say if he can stay healthy the rest of the way and be there for the Maple Leafs when they need him, I think that would go a long way for everyone just having a little more exhale, like, okay, this guy can get through an extended period of time. But for the last while, he hasn't been able to do that. So, and I'm not wishing anything ill on anybody. I'm just saying that's been the track record.
Gary, as far as that blue line is concerned, we know it's decimated with the likes of Muzzin, Riley, Brody gone. A lot of people aren't expecting Jordy Ben to play tomorrow afternoon against Minnesota. And yet another opportunity for Rasmus Sandin. And just, your experience of being on a blue line and knowing a guy's had multiple opportunities and yet another one. What would be going through his mind right now? They say he's a confident kid, but, would he realize that you only get so many opportunities before people have a different opinion of you?
I think that opportunity comes in the strangest ways at the strangest times, and because nobody as a player ever wishes their teammates get hurt, but sometimes it lends opportunity to you to be able to step up and prove yourself when the team needs you the most. Now, is he capable of not putting too much pressure on himself to be really good and and stay within himself and play his game and not get caught into trying to do too much with the extended ice time he's going to get. That's the trick of the tail there, because oftentimes when you lose players of value like the Leafs have lost, maybe Sandin is incapable of stepping into Morgan Riley's shoes, but at the same time, he can cover some of his minutes. And for Sheldon Keefe, he just wants those minutes covered and covered responsibly. Yeah, we're not going to get maybe some of the other things that we would get from the other players, but, don't hurt us by trying to do too much. And that's going to be kind of the mantra, I think, is stay in your game, play it longer and more consistent, and things will happen. I mean, I look at guys like Eric Brandstrom, I look at guys like Victor Mete, I look at guys of that posture and size that teams have given multiple opportunities to grab a hold and get going, and never been able to get that golden ticket where you feel like you've made it, right? And Sandin kind of falls into that kind of mold where the expectation is high. Now he needs to take it and run with it consistently over time, not in a roller coaster where he has a few good games and everyone says, wow, here it is, and then he has a couple of bad games. I think if he can really control himself and just play his game with the extended minutes, I think it would go a long way for the organization and how they look at him. I think that would be really important.
Yeah, you just have to be so good when you're a smaller D-man, like so exceptional in so many things. It is a real challenge. I get that. On the other end of the puck, things are going really well for the Toronto Maple Leafs in general, so there's not a ton of criticism here, but Auston Matthews' slow start is worthy of attention at this point. Last night, Chris Cuthbert mentioned that Auston Matthews doesn't have a goal shot on his forehand at even strength this year. 21 games, point per game player, good for a lot of guys, not the guy who just won the Hart and Ted Lindsay. What do you see out of Auston Matthews so far?
I would say that certainly, he hasn't had any kind of run that would make you believe that, oh my God, he's got it back and he's firing all cylinders. But I look at him and I don't think he's playing bad. I look at him and he's engaged in the game. He goes into the scoring areas. He's still using his teammates. Sometimes when a scorer like that's not scoring, he tends to get a little more selfish trying to make things happen. I don't see him doing that at all. So I don't see a lot of change. He's just not as productive as everyone would like him to be, and he's not scoring at a clip that everyone would like him to be. But, it doesn't always roll along, and maybe at some point it's going to all click in and he's going to get on fire. Will he be as opportunistic as he was last year? Maybe not. Goalies and teams start to, it's like I go back to like Paul Coffey was a guy that was insanely good. When he picked the puck up in his end, he had the ability. He looked like he wasn't even skating and he was moving faster than you. But the one thing that if you watched him and you watched it over time, and Pat Quinn was great at this, and when we played him in the playoffs back in the early '80s, was he liked to enter the zone on one side predominantly. 90% of the time, he would enter the zone always on one side, towards his backhand. So we did our damnedest throughout the series to take that side away and make him go in on his forehand where he didn't like it. And I think for a lot of Auston Matthews, last night's game especially, there were times when the player was just mimicking Auston Matthews. They were saying, hey, you can go to anyone else, but you're not coming to him. This isn't the guy you're coming to. And I think that's happening a lot more. And that just is the respect value, and it shows you that the other guys on the ice are going to have to make teams more aware that if they're going to, really present themselves that strongly on one guy, that we're going to take advantage of it. But I'm not concerned at how he's playing. I really am not. I think he's playing like a good team player plays. Would you like him to be more productive? Yes. Would you like to see him scoring more? Well, for sure. But I think it will come eventually, and I think he has to, fight through this, and all this is going to help him get better as he moves along in the playoffs when it gets a lot tighter and a lot harder to score goals.
One more for me before we let you go, Gary, and that's the Ottawa Senators and double digits out of a playoff spot, and it is American Thanksgiving. And while it's debatable on how much we anticipated them fighting for a playoff spot, maybe February or March, we didn't see tied for dead last in the league with Anaheim. So how surprised are you?
Actually, I am. I am surprised. Did I think they were going to be, in a playoff spot right now? No, I wasn't sure they'd be in a playoff spot, but I thought they would be sitting, 3-4 points, maybe 2, 3, 4 points out of the playoffs, and they'd have more wins, and they wouldn't be losing games like they're losing games. I don't know if I say that right, but how you lose a game. You can play well and lose, and the one thing that was very clear from the Ottawa Senators when they started the season was they wanted to be playing meaningful games in March and April, and they wanted to clean up some of the defensive zone and defensive mistakes that they've made in the past. They needed better goaltending. They needed more secure and stronger goaltending. So these are all things that they talked about, but it just hasn't manifested. Their goaltending has just been okay. Their defensive zone structure and their execution of their defensive zone systems is one of two things: either they don't understand it, or they're not getting the proper information, and that comes down to whether it's the coaching or whether it's the players. Now, I've heard Pierre Dorion say it's not the coach, and stop talking about the coach, and I understand that. Sooner or later, a chip falls, and the players love DJ Smith. I think he's a good coach. I think the players believe in him. But if you're not winning and this is going on, someone takes the fall for this. Someone has to. You can't keep going on the same road where the expectations are moving ahead, except the team isn't catching up to them. I think they're getting some good play to some guys, but the one area that they didn't address, and they brought a 20-year-old defenseman into the fold. And Jake Sanderson's been fantastic. And I think it's imagine if this kid came in and had, any kind of issues getting his feet wet in the National Hockey League, which would be more than understandable. But he's come in and played like a vet, and that's made it even better for them with the loss of Zub and Shabbat. But Shabbat hasn't played particularly well, and that's hurt them a little bit, and it's the understanding that they really haven't helped their blue line a lot. And that doesn't help to insulate their goaltending at all. And their goaltending is not been as bad as it was in the last years, but it hasn't stepped up to where I think they were hoping it would be. Certainly losing Norris is an issue, but you look at the Bruins, they lost Marchand, they lost McAvoy, they lose 3 or 4 guys out the first 5 games, and they just find ways to win. They know how to win. For the Ottawa Senators, they just have trouble figuring out how to win. And unfortunately, they've got a lot of young players that the things I mentioned earlier, what to do when you have nothing, how to play time and clock and things like that. I think they haven't figured out a lot of that.
Gary, always a pleasure having you on our show, man. We really appreciate your time.
Awesome, guys. I'm going to get over to my 3 American kids and have turkey at their house. So this is good for me.
That's awesome. Enjoy. Thanks, Gary.
All right, guys. Take care.
Hockey Night in Canada's Gary Galley. Couple quick ones before we go to break here. Rasmus Sandin, over 22 minutes. Mm-hmm. Clearly, he's going to get that role.
Yeah.
With Morgan Riley out. For the most part, I didn't have any issues with him at all, except for the one Hamilton goal where he just decided to read a play that only didn't happen. And he left Hamilton unattended in front.
It's a really good point. We always talk about D-man, how often, if you don't notice them, it was a good game. And when you play 22 minutes and you're not noticeable, it's pretty good. I do think when you're smaller, you have to anticipate plays ahead of everyone else and kind of cut them off and get there early. And that's what he's trying to do on the goal against. But it's just a bad guess. He doesn't even shoulder check or look. Anyway.
Couple practice updates from Minnesota today, if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Sure.
I'm just pulling it up here. Apparently, Connor Timmins is not going to play tomorrow night. Keefe says that he just got there. Wants to make sure that he doesn't play. So your bottom pair. Guess what your bottom pair is going to be tomorrow?
Victor Mete's in.
And Matt Hollowell.
Mete Hollowell.
Yeah. Jordy Ben, IR, week to week.
Yeah. Yes. And again, sometimes in life, you get what you pay for. Jordy Ben has really come in and been a breath of fresh air for this blue line.
Good, really good.
No question about it.
Yeah.
But how many consecutive games can he play? Can he stay healthy?
It's the line from Liar Liar. Simmonds is old.
Right?
It's just, Ben is old.
Right? He's being held together with popsicle sticks right now. I don't know.
Yeah. That's too bad because he really was like, I don't know. He was like gritty. He was like the charismatic leader everyone loved. It's like, yeah, this guy's perfect for them. So
And another note from practice, Matt Murray starts Friday in Minnesota, which is great. Another start for him. The plan is for Eric Källgren to start in Pittsburgh on Saturday, but that's not 100% yet. With a matinee start tomorrow, it's not the usual back-to-back. But the travel is significant, apparently.
If Matt Murray's going, just
look, if he's
roll
going
with it.
He's going. I do think that's the right call. What you're talking about. I think the Penguins have seen a very strange array of goaltenders in the Leafs. It's been Källgren and Kaskasuo and throw a couple starters at him, will you?
Also, one note. Nick Robertson, I guess, will come out of the lineup, and Wayne Simmonds will go in
Minnesota
to obviously go up against very excited, can't wait to win the fans over, Ryan Reaves.
Oh, great.
Sammy was saying he doesn't think that Simmonds will do a deal with Reaves. He doesn't think that's a thing.
Well, why would you do a deal?
No, he doesn't think that he'll fight him or that he'll
listen.
No. That's out of his
Reaves
weight class.
is coming out, and he's
fighting someone.
He's running around.
You're right. I didn't think of that.
Coming
point.
out with a bib on his jersey, much like a lot of Americans right now are looking at their Christmas or their Thanksgiving dinner. Right? He sees a little cranberry sauce on all the Leafs.
Eat them up.
Why wouldn't you?
I would.
There's some people right now listening to our show just disgustingly full.
Why wouldn't you, if you're Ryan Reaves, you're going into a game against a team like Toronto where you've got the red carpet to go run and talk and intimidate anybody you want. Giordano's coming after me? I hope it's Wayne Simmonds before I see Giordano go in there.
Yeah, where's Clifford? I mean, honestly, it's like here's a question for you though.
So
Kyper.
you
should have kept Douglas.
Punchy
so Sammy,
Douglas.
Reaves gets just a green light to go out there and do anything he wants tomorrow. You okay with that?
Yeah. Listen, it's not going to matter.
So I had an argument.
What do you mean it's not going to matter?
It's not going to matter. Even if you have Simmonds.
Listen, Wayne's got to find a way to kind of slow him down a little bit.
He's not going to. No.
Well, then what's the point of putting him in then?
We should break, by the way. We got to get to Garen.
Right. All right. Yeah. We'll take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll pick this up after the break.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Billy Garen, general manager, Minnesota Wild. After the break, you're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne. We're back after this.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Leafs in Minnesota tomorrow afternoon at 2. And a scheduling note, we will not be on the air tomorrow until post-game on, well, I don't know. What's it called?
Leafs Talk on YouTube.
Leafs Talk on YouTube. I don't know.
So it's not Real Kyper and Bourne on YouTube tomorrow after the game?
We're going to put it in our podcast feed.
It's
the three of
Leafs
us.
Talk featuring Real Kyper and Bourne. The artist formerly known as Real Kyper and Bourne on Leafs Talk.
I think it's Real Kyper and Bourne featuring Leafs
I'm not
Talk.
sure if I want to go on Leaf Talk.
Yeah. Pretty generic.
I'm a Real Kyper and Bourne guy.
That's a generic name so they can just fire and replace us at will.
That's the game plan.
Yeah.
All right, we wait to catch up to Billy Garen.
He's
who's
coming.
Probably got like cranberry stain on his shirt by now, you think?
4:17 is prime U.S. drinking
it?
time, is it not? I mean,
You're right in the middle of a thigh right now.
no, you've eaten,
You've
and
done.
I feel like you're into like and you can't. You're too full to have like a beer, so you're onto like a bourbon or something.
Has that what is it? That sleepy part of the turkey
Tryptophan, yeah.
Is that kicked in yet? Is it
Let's
kicked
find
in
out
on
from-
Billy Garen? Are you turkeyed out? We're sorry if we interrupted your Thanksgiving and happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm turkeyed out. We had a very, very early meal. My son flew out to see his girlfriend, and my daughter's working tonight. So we had to eat at 1:00, and I'm done.
Does Thanksgiving feel a lot better with a 6-1 win against Winnipeg?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, it's just one of those things. It's not really a break in the season, but it's a holiday. You know, not that a loss is going to entirely ruin it, but the turkey definitely tastes better with 2 points in your pocket.
That's great. So you guys are starting to roll a little bit here. You beat Carolina. You beat Winnipeg. How would you assess where the Wild are at this season? I know you guys just made a move to acquire Reaves. It seems like you guys are in a pretty good spot here. What's your take on things so far?
Yeah, it's been it's been a very different year. If you're comparing to last year, we've been inconsistent. I think our defensive play, has been really strong. Our ability to score goals 5-on-5 hasn't been as strong as last year. But, the thing for me is that we're still inconsistent in playing to our identity. And, and that's, playing up-tempo, high pace, high compete, and being aggressive. And, for some reason, we've been inconsistent. That was part of the Reaves move, just to get another guy with a lot of energy in his game. And, if he can get the hits, he's really effective. But, he's a bigger body, and we needed that. So the energy that he's going to supply, I think, will help us, get to a more consistent level with our identity.
Just the way it all went down, my understanding was about a week ago, Ryan Reaves went to the New York Rangers, asked to get traded. And there was some thought, Billy, that the Rangers were ready to put him on waivers. So just your decision to give up a fifth for him and maybe not wait to see if, in fact, that would have happened. But where was your sense on why you needed to pull the trigger the other day?
Well, I mean, hey, listen, we all think about the future. Draft picks are incredibly valuable, but we also think about the now. And you know what? I just feel that our team needed a little jolt. And like I said, with Revo's personality, his energy, what he brings to a locker room, what he brings on the ice, can really lift the team. And you know what? I thought, for right now, it was worth a draft pick 2 years out. And I mean, you never know. We could end up recouping that draft pick somewhere along the line. And but I think it was important to think about the players now and try to help them this year.
You know, teams only go as far as goaltending and their stars go. You know, there were some people preseason picking Kirill Kaprizov as sort of a dark horse heart candidate, a guy, a lot of love around the league. How has his season gone so far for the Minnesota Wild?
You know, Kirill's been great. You know, I don't know if he's scoring at the rate that he was last year, but he's been pretty consistent, and you know, he's having a good year. And you know, the thing I love about Kirill is that he plays hard every night.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of these superstars that is not afraid to get his nose dirty. You know, last night he had a couple points, but he was also like, you know, he gets in on the forecheck, he finishes checks. I know he finished a couple guys, you know, real hard. He goes in, he'll go to the puck first. He's not afraid to get hit, and you know, he goes to the ugly areas. So I really like where Kirill's game is right now. I mean, hey, look, as a GM or coaches, you always want more production, but he produces at a really high rate for us. So we're lucky to have him.
Bill, just in terms of now the squeeze on many teams with a salary cap, and we know what's happened for obvious reasons the last few years, but the decision with Parise and Ryan Suter has left you, I think, with dead cap space money of about $40 million, if I'm not mistaken. And just that usually comes with teams that are just totally ready to kind of rebuild and get higher picks and just wait for a few years. But we don't get that sense out of your hockey club. So, I mean, how has it been knowing that you've got such a significant number of dead space to work with?
You know what? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Some days it's tough, and you're like, man, what could we do with that extra cap space? But you know what? You got to live by the decisions you make, and I'd do it again. And I just think the direction our organization's gone since then has been in a positive one. You know, no disrespect to those players or anything like that, but we needed to do it to move forward. And you know, even though we have, you know, the dead cap space, I think it's given a lot of other players here the ability to you know, to play in different positions, to play more, to, you know, assume leadership positions, all sorts of things like that. So, but you know, and we're not using that as an excuse either. The expectation level here has you know, grown each and every year. We still expect the guys to win. And, you know, that's just the way we do it. I don't care what our dead cap space is. We're a good enough team to win every night, and that's what we expect.
You know, Bill, one thing that strikes me is, you know, in our very, very brief overlap at an Islanders camp a while ago and watching your career, seeing you acquire Reaves and knowing you have Marc-Andre Fleury, like, I'm struck by personality as a priority with you. Like, knowing that it's important to have these guys in the room that can pick you up and give you that energy and just provide something that isn't the same old every single day. Do you see that, like, when you've won a Stanley Cup, do you feel like personality is an important element of having success?
I do. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I really do. Obviously, you know, the most important thing is the way you play. But it is such a long year. You guys know this. It's such a long year. It's such a grind.
Yeah.
Like, to go in and just do the same thing every single day. You know, at points in time in the season, it does get tedious. And you need character on your team, but you need characters. And those are the guys that are going to get you through the dog days. Those are the guys that you're going to look to when things are tight and there's pressure. They can loosen the room up, or they can just make sure that the guys are relaxed and focused. So, yeah, I am a big believer in that. I mean, you know, all the good teams that I was on, and I'm sure you guys were the same way, you had some characters and you had some life in the room, and you had guys that weren't afraid to, you know, be themselves, and that's what I really preach that too. And be yourself, like, be who you are, and that's why we get a guy like Reaves or Fleury, you know, Marcus Foligno, Dumba, all these guys, Zuccarello, that have these great personalities, and you know, I want them to be who they are.
The safer bet is that those type of guys are like pluggers, and you know, on your bottom six. And you just mentioned Marc-Andre Fleury, who's one of the best in history and a future Hall of Famer here. And he did this one promo where they loaded up the dressing room with flowers. And I think it's one of the best. And I urge anyone who's watching or listening to go find it because it's hilarious. And he's awesome in it. And I'm just wondering if you got stuck with the floral bill on that one.
Yeah. Well, it's actually funny because the guy who makes the commercials, a guy named John King, who's helped us with that kind of campaign. It's not weird, wild. It's wild. His wife, I believe, works at a flower shop, and that's where we got them all.
God,
funny
fantastic.
how that works out. So, but
yeah,
I tell you what, the whole sequence of those commercials to me, Foligno did one this year, because they call him Moose, where he's in a lake, and you just got to look it up. I think they're hilarious. And you know what? It's kind of been something that was important to me, and that was allowing, breaking the mold of the old Minnesota Wild and letting these guys letting their personalities shine through, letting them have a lot of fun. I mean, you got to do that stuff because I really think it's part of the life. It's part of living the life of an NHLer to be able to do that stuff. And I think it brings a lot to our market too.
Do you remember when we played? We had those ESPN ones. Did you ever do any of those?
Great. Those were great. I did one with Kenny Danico when we were playing chess on the ice, and I moved my, or maybe it was me and Randy McKay. I forget. Me and Dano or Randy McKay was in it too, and I moved my piece and I said check, and right when I said check, I think it was Kenny came over and just drilled me, like right off the stool. But those were great. And I know you guys with the Rangers had a bunch of good ones. Ricky had one with the I think the plexiglass in front of the net.
Yeah.
Where those are classic.
I had one where they gave me this really soft rabbit, a live rabbit. And I'm holding it in the middle of the rink, and I remember my line. It was like hockey. People think hockey players are big, mean thugs, but we're actually very civilized people. Take this little guy, for instance, and my line was, how many of you know the best way to serve him is in a prune cognac sauce? What do you think?
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
Pretty good.
I'm going to look that one up. Try getting away with that today.
Well, it's funny because I was actually thinking, before my first exhibition game at that Islanders camp, you came in and told the room it was a 2-beer mandatory that night. We were all going to go to the bar and everyone had to have a minimum of 2 beers. I wonder, is that still an element of the NHL these days? Is your team still able to get out?
We make it a point to make sure that the guys have time to unwind a little bit. We stay over. You know what? I mean, you know how it is after a game. You're all wound up. You're not going to sleep. So if we're going to lose time going back east, if like we're in the West Coast, we're going to go home. We'll stay overnight. And you know what? I think it just gives the guys a chance to be together and go have a couple beers. And I think it really does create camaraderie and chemistry. And back at that camp, Bourne, that was fun. And that was, you know what, I wanted to just, incorporate everybody. You know what, there was no division. I didn't want a division between the old guys and the young guys or, guys on tryouts and signed guys. No, we're all here at the same camp. Let's go out and have a few beers together. And we're going to, who knows where the night will take us, but we'll talk and we'll get to know each other. And, hey, you have your 2 beers and leave or don't have any and leave or whatever, but you got to show up.
It's a matinee game tomorrow. Can you tell Reaves to kind of take it easy and not worry about impressing the crowd against the smaller blue line of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I can tell him, but I think this guy. He won't listen to me.
Well, listen, we appreciate your precious time on Thanksgiving Day. Thanks for doing this, Bill.
Absolutely, guys. Great catching up, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Bill Garen, general manager of the Minnesota Wild, and a team that's hanging around. And think about this. Like, if I'm not mistaken, they're at about $14 million between Parise and Ryan Suter of dead money, meaning that their salary cap this year is, I don't know, 60.
Yeah, 67
Right.
or whatever it is. Yeah.
57 million.
So obviously that's bad, and obviously they know that. But I get the idea of being like, we need to move on from this team that hasn't had success. It is not working, and to continue to run our heads into this brick wall, makes no sense, and giving some new guys some opportunity. So this is exactly how I feel about the Vancouver Canucks. Like, go ahead and let your goaltending get hot and turn it around and go finish with 87 points and pick 14th and then do it again next year. What's the point? Like, at least get some young guys in, give them opportunity, move on to a new core, let some new voices grow in the room. I get the idea of just saying, we know it's not good for us. It hurts, but we need to turn the page on this old thing from the Minnesota Mild.
I get it.
He also said something in that interview with you guys when you brought up the advertising, right? When they're talking about the Fleury thing. And then he's like, we're trying to get away from being the old Minnesota Wild. And that stuck out to me, right? Where it's just like...
They were the most boring team in the league.
Legitimately the team I want to think the least about. If I was trying to come up with an anecdote and have it be the most boring team, it would always be the Minnesota Wild or the Arizona Coyotes. Those would be the two teams I would say. And it's just, I think they really want to be a little bit more exciting. So...
Well, I can appreciate that philosophy.
Yep.
I would have gotten rid of Parise, and I would have kept Ryan Suter.
Yeah, I wonder...
That guy's playing 22 minutes a night for the Dallas Stars, and they would have been a better team. Now, I don't know what's going on off the ice and whether or not, they thought he was a clubhouse lawyer, but 22 minutes still out of Ryan Suter could only have helped, in my opinion, the Minnesota Wild.
I get that.
So how long is their cap screwed for? Is it 2 more years?
I think it's 2 more years that you got to carry those salaries, and then I think they wash.
This is the year where it's the worst, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's over $7 million for Ryan Suter on the books this year.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull this up, but and it changes as it goes on. But I think this year in particular, they take it on the chin, or maybe it even gets worse after this. I don't know. Dead money though, a lot of dead money for them to deal with. But okay.
Yeah, it's a long time away.
Yeah.
Until then, what is it?
It's 12.743.588 million for the next 3 years.
Wow.
Whoa.
Actually, sorry, it's 12,743,000 this year, and then it's 14,743,000.
Oh, it goes up.
So the 2 years after that, then it drops down to 1.6.
So you got 3 tough years here.
3 years is a long time.
Oh yeah, bud.
Oh my God.
Think about what your Leafs will look like 3 years from now.
Kipper, I just want to think about what they're going to do getting through this game against Reaves.
I would love. Would you not? What would you pay to know what the Leafs roster would look like in 2026?
Nothing, because I don't like to think forward.
I would pay ungodly sums to know. I'm fascinated to know.
You just want to be Biff from Back to the Future, so you can make money, protect it. You want the almanac.
I've got no moral. I would gamble like hell on that.
My column came out today in the Toronto Star. I focused a little bit on that, on altering the roster a little bit. We know that Simmonds is on his way, won't play tomorrow, but threw out some suggestions on some D help.
Okay.
You think it's going to start clearing up a little bit more on guys that are available? I had about 5 names in there.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I do think as some teams fall out of playoff contention, there are interesting names. The only ones that are like big names, though, would be like Dumba on the Wild or like Ekholm on Nashville. But like those don't seem likely. So who else did you have in the mix, Kippers? Potential?
Well, the first one that I said in a perfect world, and I think we did talk about
Chikrin,
this.
by the way.
Yeah,
Chikrin's in there.
Yeah, he's in there.
I've moved on though.
But
we're on to Croatia.
The one that I think would be the most logical in terms of Kyle's style is Karlsson.
Eric Karlsson.
Yes.
He's got a lot of money for a lot of years and doesn't defend a lick.
But could you get San Jose to pick up 50% of
If
it.
I'm not mistaken, he's got a big nut.
Yeah, it's a big nut.
Yeah,
it's a big nut. It's a big nut to carry.
I think it's the term for me. It's like
Yeah, it is
more
4
years.
more
nuts are
years.
equal.
I know. And I do mention that in my article that the obstacles are his age and the wear and tear.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that the board or Brendan Shanahan would green light it, even if Kyle came up with the assets to get him.
Really?
For me,
That interests me.
For me, I just don't think he's what they need,
It's
and
$50
I'm
million.
not Dubas.
$50 million for a guy that's
They made that off us at the Share Club on Saturday night. I think they can afford $50 million.
The tequila bottle was.
I don't think. I don't think that should be part of the equation. I don't think it's something they should do. But like, if they wanted to do it, I think they would give them the $50 million to do it.
I just can't imagine being like the solution to the Leafs' problems. Okay. So I can't imagine the solution is looking at these last 5 or 6 Leafs teams and being like, what if we added a guy who can score and doesn't defend? That would blow people's mind. However, I do look at this Leafs team and say, boy, PP1 with Erik Karlsson.
Scary.
Oh, that really changes things. I mean, really, they're instantly the best power play in the league.
One name that I threw out was Fabro. 24 years old, Nashville, right-handed shot.
Dante. Okay. Yeah.
That David Poile wants to is open to moving a defenseman. That's the name that I had heard.
I like that name.
17th overall pick, 4 years ago maybe?
Yeah.
5 years ago?
Okay. Just looking this up.
But
Dante Fabro.
Again, that is that to me that to me has a feel of they would want Nyes on that one because I'm giving you a 24-year-old that's still got tremendous upside and can play large minutes and could easily be a top 4 defenseman.
Yeah.
Would that make sense for the Leafs? Nyes for this guy.
6 feet tall, 190 pounds, right shot.
Not big. Not big, but still.
If you're using the Nyes chip, you're hoping you're doing better than that, in my opinion.
Okay, there are some people out there that aren't convinced that this guy is the next one.
I am one of them. That's why you do it now. That's why you do it now.
You're saying yes.
No, I'm saying that I don't listen. I'm saying both sides of this argument. I am one of the people that kind of believes that undercurrent that he maybe not be what everybody's projecting him to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there's enough sort of top prospect pixie dust on him at this very moment.
For sure.
That you could aim a little higher than potentially Dante Fabro if you're using that chip at this deadline. I'm completely fine. Matt Dumba.
Yeah, but Matt Dumba is going to ask for $8 million next year, and are you going to pay
Well, they
that?
have 12 guys coming off the books next year.
This may be the time for them to actually do a rental, like to actually rent a player. I know that's a faux pas, but yeah, do you want to trade Nyes for a rental? That's scary.
I'm not doing that. No chance.
No.
I need a restricted contract. I need control. I need to know a guy's not walking out the door like Nick Foligno did.
Ross Atkins over here need that control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gone down that path.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
to the point where I had to give up a first rounder to get rid of somebody named Patrick Marleau.
So then,
and that was Seth Jarvis, by the way. That should be a Leaf.
Is he any good?
Yeesh,
so
boys.
So Dante Fabro, like you said, he's an RFA after this season. He's 2.4 this year. So then you'd think that he's due for a raise when he's an RFA.
But he can't. I don't think he can go into like a 6.
5?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
So that's
somewhere there.
To me, I don't know. The Dumba thing is when I read your article today. I really look forward to your articles.
Thank you,
Johnny Journalist. I always get lots of good juicy stuff out of them.
Thank you.
But when you mentioned Dumba, that is what really piqued my interest. I love Matt Dumba. I've always loved Matt Dumba.
I really like that he body checks people.
Yeah, and he's got an FU to him.
Yeah.
I love that guy. That is the one that really got me interested.
And I have no issues if they find a way to get him, but can you keep him? So you got to start thinking that Muzzin's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So that that gives you your close to what? What was Muzzin, 5'6" or 5'9"?
5'6",
5'6", 2'5". Plus, you need to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
Could you get him for 7.25? Can you convince him to come under Morgan?
Yeah.
Dumba?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question,
soon
though.
to be 30, I think.
Just talking to Garen
Maybe.
there, they're trying to survive with a limited salary cap, and that involves keeping your good players. Do you think they would do it? Like, you'd have to wait till the deadline, till they're
100%.
and they'd have to be failing.
100%. Minnie would have to be.
Which I think they're going to get in.
You do.
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
Let me do a quick standing sort here. Yeah, right now on the outside looking in the Western Conference, you got Minnesota just outside the playoffs, and you got Nashville just outside the playoffs. Oh, I clicked a button I shouldn't have clicked. But you have Seattle, you got Winnipeg, who's so-so. Like, there's some teams I think that could come out for those teams to get in. And then none of those guys are available. St. Louis is 10-9 there in a playoff spot.
I know
at
the
minus
Leafs,
10 goal diff.
The Leafs have they have interest in Klingberg for sure.
Oh yeah, that I can see, because it's like Carlson light, and the acquisition cost is less. The long term is non-existent. But then do you want to sign him?
That's even more of a pure rental than Dumba even is.
Well, again, Dallas liked him. They just didn't like him when he was asking for a gazillion dollars. They're like, no.
Wasn't he asking like 8 times 8 or something?
If that.
You got 1 times 8.
I mean,
1 times 7.
Could have
1
been
times 7. Yeah.
Could have been a 9 in there. That's how ridiculous it was. And it's like, no, we're not even. Yeah, you're moving on.
Yeah.
That's how. And he bet on himself. And right now, I don't think it's looking great in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
But they're really bad. And
really bad.
They're just.
Those, you know why?
They're going to have to wait. They're going to have to wait for a while.
Didn't look very good in Anaheim either.
Yeah, those orange jerseys slow you down 5 miles per hour because they're so ugly.
And you can point to a lot of different things in Boston. To me, that was a shrewd move by Don Sweeney. Oh my gosh, it's changed. It's changed so much for them. And just for fun, that guy plays 24 minutes
You're
a
right.
night.
Getting another number 1 guy, essentially, like, because he's got to be one of the 32 best defensemen in the league. So they got 2 number 1s. Having another number 1 really changes that group.
Completely, the scope of the balance now that they have in their lineup. And let's face it, when Chara dropped off, even those last few years when he was not Chara as we knew him, it really affected the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Then Lindholm comes in and just drives it right back.
What's he, 30 years old or something?
Yeah. And he's not Chara, but he's Chara-like when it comes to having a major influence in a hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking of contracts as we were talking about it, that Carolina just signed that Pyotr Kochetkov, the goalie, 4 years at $2 million per, which is a crazy good, I think a smart risk for Carolina, like a good gamble. This guy looks like, I guess when they drafted him, they thought he was going to be in the class of Russian goalies, kind of like, Sorokin and Shesterkin and Vasilevsky. He was one of them. And now he's a few years removed from the draft. He's playing amazing. They get him for 4 years at $2 million. It might be an amazing deal.
Is your favorite goalie playing right now Freddie Anderson, or is he hurt again? Like, whatever the case is.
No comments on that. I don't know.
Whatever the case
Probably not
is,
playing.
Freddie would look at that contract and go, yeah, I'm done here. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I guess.
Oh, no.
Freddie's 33 years old.
And the other goalies,
891 in 8 games this year. Freddie.
Ranta, right?
Speaking of injuries.
And they're both, if I'm not mistaken, on expiring contracts, right?
Anderson, yeah, because after the trade, that was it, right? He just had another 2 years.
So both those goalies right now are like the turkeys on the table today. They're cooked.
Oh, my God. Freddie's going to come back to the Leafs.
Oh, my God. No.
Yes. He's going to cost like $2 million this year after he has an 890 in Carolina. They're going to need someone.
No, thank you. What's this guy? There's another guy you mentioned in your piece that I have no thoughts or opinions. I've never even heard of him. The Russian guy from Columbus.
Yes.
Gavrikov.
Big, heavy guy.
6'3", 2.
Yes.
Yeah, big guy.
And
he'll left though.
And who else? He'll get Columbus a nice return. And he'll probably play out like David Savard, where he can end up getting yourself a first rounder and plus. Now, let's not forget, David Savard ended up in Tampa Bay, and I don't even think he played legit top 4 minutes.
Right. No,
right?
He didn't, yeah.
But, Gavrikov will play out as David Savard did a few seasons ago.
Yeah, there's some options. There's some options for these Leafers.
So can I go back to something and ask you guys a question? We kind of glossed over it before we broke to get to Garen. You guys would actually start Matt Murray in 2 games on the back-to-back if he's rolling?
100%.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God. You're gambling, man.
Yeah,
Oh.
I had a point against the Islanders, and I lost it because of my other goalie.
Yeah, I guess so, but boy.
So here's something about that game that I was starting to get to the point we had to cut because Garen was waiting on us. The Simmonds thing, dressing Simmonds in that game tomorrow. So when I was with the Leafs, it was like a preseason game. The Leafs were playing Buffalo, and Buffalo dressed like a bunch of thugs, like just 4 different guys who had clear intent in preseason to prove themselves. And so the Leafs had a roster set, but they were scrambling to replace guys to put in a couple people to answer that, so Buffalo didn't just come in and beat the hell out of them. My point at the time was like, if you don't have those guys to fight on Buffalo, they're irrelevant. Like, by dressing Simmonds, don't you make Ryan Reaves relevant? If there's no one for him to engage with.
Except Ryan likes the forecheck.
Yeah, Ryan does more.
And he scares people.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
I know.
You want to have someone who will go do it if they have to.
Say what you will about the oxygen that this guy sucks out of a dressing room for a second. Mika liked him. Chris Kreider liked him. And there's always something to be said when a guy like Ryan starts chirping at you, and you can look and go, yeah, well, then talk to him, right? Go talk to him. Let's see how brave you are. Go talk to him. When you don't have that, then it's just you having to chirp him back.
Like, yeah, well,
right?
Yeah.
And it's still there. I don't care how the game's changed.
Yeah.
It's still there.
I agree that Ryan Reaves is a guy you almost certainly have to have someone in because he plays. He will talk
Ryan
to you.
Reaves forechecking. You want Victor Mete going back behind his net to get a puck with Reaves right on him.
Mac Hollowell.
I like it. I like his challenge. I like his chances better than Mac Hollowell's.
It's true.
Right?
You know, I think there are those guys, and not many of them left, who you don't need to dress to fight against. But, used to be like.
But even Wayne Simmonds, like think about Wayne Simmonds and Maroon, right? At least Wayne will go to toe with him on that exchange.
Mm-hmm. You're right about the point where you just get to go.
If
listen,
he's not there,
deal with him.
Then it's like, okay, who's going to listen to it?
Mm-hmm.
Marner, Matthews, Tavares, Auston Reaves.
If there's no one there, Ryan Reaves probably can stand in front of the Leafs bench and just pick Marner and go, I'm going to eat you for lunch.
Yeah. And then Mitch is going to go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, Bunting's going to dive, so.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess.
It's just, it's still there.
I know there's like the analytics people who are listening going, just don't acknowledge them. You just go play.
Just don't look them in the
Just
eye.
skate around them. Just go score.
Yeah, and then what they should do is just listen to Lindy and close their computers.
Yeah. Close your computers. Get to know people. It's a human sport.
Get to know your players and who's intimidated and who's not.
Very true. So we still have a bunch of clips.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
What do we have? We have not discussed Nick Robertson out of the lineup, in the lineup, tomorrow out of the lineup.
Thought he was fine. I said pregame on TV. I said D-man cannot be noticed, and it's fine. Nick had to be noticed. He didn't do anything that made me go, wow.
I honestly don't remember one thing. Do you remember one thing?
Good forecheck. He got a puck and then protected it well and passed it to the point.
Yeah,
once.
he didn't cost you the game.
Absolutely not.
But he's
got to create a shot for himself, some opportunities. If you're going to be an offensive producer, you got to produce a little offense.
I think, was it you that was talking with it, Bourne? But it seems that his first 3 shifts in the game, he's like, I am about to put on a masterclass of hockey trying. He's like, here we go. Time to try.
Yeah.
And then it completely runs out. You don't notice him again. Like, I thought his first couple of shifts, you're like, holy crap, Robertson is really, it's really worked. The benching's really worked. And then it's just, he can't keep up the level and he's not there anymore.
Their work rate, Sammy.
The work rate.
The work rate's impossible to maintain. So we talked about European kick hockey yesterday. The work rate for Canada was marvelous.
We're not talking before Canada's next game, but big one on Sunday.
Working his bag off.
What did you think of the coach and his
F Croatia?
F Croatia.
Who said that? Herdman did?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He said it, but he said
you got to get the right context here, and that was someone asked him right off I guess the scrum that he had with his own team, and it's like, what did you say to the players? And it's like, get ready, and it's
a fearlessness thing they're going for.
They just caught him at a moment where I don't think he gave too much thought on it, and he was trying to be candid.
Yeah.
And I guess many people found it disrespectful.
I'm sure,
including Croatians.
Yeah.
Don't say.
I'm sure one of the proudest, grittiest soccer countries on planet Earth won't take that the wrong way from a minnow that's never been in the World Cup before. Sure, that won't matter at all.
The final last World Cup, were they not?
Listen, Belgium's one thing, but they're soft. They're a soft team. They're very Leafsy, very soft.
Look at Modric is 1,000 years old.
But
we're scoring a goal.
We may score a goal, but Croatia's not Belgium. They're gritty, pedigree, scary dudes.
You remind me of Sheldon Keefe right now, because you know what Sheldon Keefe does? Whoever you play, he tells you they're the best team in the world. It's like, and we actually have a clip of him doing that with Jersey about best offensive, best defensive. It doesn't matter what team. Now Sammy's like, well, Belgium. Let me tell you about Croatia.
Yeah, you're over-respecting them right now.
I was always more
just to balance out.
No, it's not true. I was always more afraid of Croatia than Belgium. Always.
Don't believe that for a second.
They got pedigree, man. They're not constant disappointments. That's Belgium. Croatia, they show up.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is gonna be a tough, like, people are like, oh, if they played like that, like they did against Belgium, yeah, that'd be a game, but they're really good.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Love it.
Do we have any games tonight?
Shout out to my boy Johnny Bravo, my Croat buddy. Going to watch the game with him on Sunday. He's got a viewing party. He'll be wearing his checkers, I think. And
we have no games. They schedule no games during American
no hockey
Thanksgiving.
games. Nope.
Nothing.
Is that always the case?
Yes.
Fear of the NFL.
I don't even know.
So then you can go home and watch. I think is it Pats Vikings tonight? Pats Vikings.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Okay. Our thanks to Billy Garen, Gary Galley, and Stu Gavin. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We are back on Monday.
Post game tomorrow.
Post game tomorrow. Check us out. Real Kyper and Bourne. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.